We have reviewed our method for advising the armed forces on the prevention of malaria, partly as a result of this inquiry, but actually in order to learn the lessons from deploying forces to Sierra Leone as part of the Ebola response. And we've concluded that it makes sense for us to explicitly publish a hierarchy of drug choice, and Mefloquine will be the last drug of choice in that hierarchy.
Now, manufacturer Roche has specifically recommended that face-to-face assessments must be conducted before Mefloquine, Lariam, is prescribed. But despite that warning, in this response, the MOD says that in a case of a short notice overseas deployment, the assessment could still be done just using medical records without that face-to-face interview. How do you justify that?
If we need to issue anti-malarials for personnel for a specific deployment, then individuals will be prescribed those drugs according to those records that we will then have in place. So that will reduce the amount of time necessary for a face-to-face consultation for all anti-malarials. In terms of Mefloquine specifically, which will be a small percentage of the total antimalarials prescribed, then that will only be prescribed on the advice of a doctor.
So can you guarantee that if someone is offered Lariam, they would also be offered an alternative?
If with their particular set of circumstances, there was an alternative. But as I've explained, actually it's a hierarchy of choice. So in that hierarchy, Lariam is actually the last in the list of hierarchy, so we would have considered whether any other antimalarial would be suitable for that person before we advise the use of Mefloquine.
Now, as a result of the Defence Committee's report into the use of Lariam by the UK military, the MOD has said that it's going to produce a revised policy into how it prescribes anti-malarial drugs. Do you accept that the MOD and the Surgeon General's office in the past has got this policy wrong?
What we have recognised is we need to be more explicit in describing exactly how we will administer antimalarials, which obviously includes Mefloquine. And we have revised the existing electronic templates to ensure that anybody prescribing any of the antimalarials is taking an accurate record of the reason for the prescription, plus also the presence or absence of any of the contraindications. And this is an evolution. It's not a revolution. A lot of what I've just described is already in place. So this new policy is very much a revision, an evolution. There's nothing radical in it. We were already following most of the advice that was contained in the House of Commons Defence Committee inquiry report.
Would it not be simpler just not to include Lariam in your arsenal of antimalarial drugs?
There may be circumstances when it is an appropriate antimalarial. For instance, if an individual has side effects to the other common antimalarial drugs, they might have taken it in the past and been perfectly happy to take it. And indeed, as the Advisory Committee for the Prevention of Malaria has stated, that it is tolerated very well by the majority of people who've taken it. So there may be circumstances where it is an appropriate and suitable antimalarial. So we wouldn't wish to remove it completely on the basis that it is a licensed drug for use in the United Kingdom with recognised benefits to protect against malaria.